Going live. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. I greet you all with love and respect and motivation to get some stuff done today. And I have some incredible things I want to share, and I'll just allow them to come through. And as always, this Clifton's Clicks, your guide to your Cliff Notes to the Cosmos. And I am your host, Clifton. And of course, it's sponsored by water. And today's guest sponsor is the At Malinga. Yes, the At Malinga. If you want to know more, let me know. It's a very powerful, energetic tool for your vibrational awareness, and it's a recognition that you have come quite a long way in understanding, upgrading your operating software, and taken some very clear initiatives in your lifestyle and life to amplify your authenticity, integrity, responsibility, and enriching. So with that, I would love to get into this. One of the things that we had discussed a previous episode was how we are instruments, right? And this body is an instrument, and my face and my persona is an instrument. And we learn how to play different keys and different notes. And we can learn how to play them at different frequencies. We can learn how to play different chords and combinations. And we go about life as one would in a jazz band, Of course, we can go through life as like a very predetermined classical composer where everything is perfect and you play the piece exactly as you're told to play. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful music. But also you can play it like jazz, where you have such mastery over your instrument that don't need to put in all that hard discipline and logic and organization to create a masterpiece. You can flow, and that's actually really what's fun, is flowing with what's coming at you rather than being so keenly focused on being appealing to some sort of norm or notion of perfection. And so jazz is just like, yeah, I can play whatever. I can riff, I can go off of it, I can explore. And that's really where creativity comes in. And the very powerful consciousness that we have been gifted, that we have. And so as you upgrade your operating software, and as you've opened up your voice, as you've recognized your passion in life, and as you start to make the internal and external shifts to be integrated to that higher vibrational lifestyle, and as you start to open up and explore how to enter in and interact with various vibrational frequencies, you start to develop a tool, skill set, and knowledge to where you can interact not just in one frequency that you're at, but you can be that almost that explorer to these other frequencies while still maintaining the integrity of your own frequency. And of course, I mentioned that in a previous one where entering into that lower vibratory state, I went in and having that affect me so much. And really one of the next level is to be able to interact with those types of frequencies and allow one to absorb what they want and get rid of what they don't, and to remain at a higher vibratory state or regenerate to a higher vibratory state, or just vibe up, have a higher vibe to continue without the drawbacks or, as I said, the energetic hangover that I was definitely afflicted with. As a reason to continue to interact with the lower vibratory fields, to help harmonize them and elevate them in the ways that they can do, the way that they can grow, how they wish to grow, in a presence of your higher node. The mesh network that you're interacting with can also elevate as well, without really pulling you back down to a lower vibratory state of homeostasis that the collective mesh network is at. And this would be really great in visuals, to be honest with you. So I hope I'm still got your attention here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, do I have your attention now? Hopefully a laughter. The idea is to be able to interact with these various frequencies and to start to infuse high vibratory thought currents and enrich people in these states, while also you maintaining your vibratory state, or being able to skillfully get to the state that you wish to get to at any point in time. And some of the more challenging ones that I've experienced is being in a high vibratory state after being immersed in low vibratory state. It's a bit of an energetic hangover, as I mentioned and you observed and experienced in my previous post. Yet it's an imperative for synergizing humanity to do such things, right? To go out into lower vibratory states as opposed to stay isolated. And so the next challenge then becomes, how does one maintain their vibratory state in these lower vibratory areas, and or how do they recover? And more importantly, how do we surpass a paradigm in which we actually have a non-conscious impact on our energy, right? So yeah, if I want to go low vibe, then let me go low vibe, and as soon as I'm done with wanting to go low vibe, I can immediately go up to high vibe. That's a very powerful state. However, going to low vibe and then coming back and wanting to get back up to high vibe, and in that transitory period, it creates a lot of pain and trauma, inflammation, and just energetic hangover. Then that's that sort of level that I'm speaking at. Is to, one, find the tools and practices to elevate your vibration, or to get your vibration to the level that you wish it to be as soon as possible, with the minimal amount of setbacks or hangovers or delays, and then be able to actually go one step further and allow those negative vibrations to permeate through your energetic body without impacting your energetic state, because you're so coherent in nature, and you've been able to achieve a homeostasis in which you just naturally go back into that high vibratory state. And so when we go through this spiritual journey, this upgraded operating software journey, it's so new and so fresh and so young that, kind of like clay that hasn't hardened, we build this beautiful vase, and then we go in to a state, a lower vibratory state, and we kind of get banged up, and we come back all banged up, and then we got to get all prettied again, and molded again by our practices and skills. And those are really where sort of the commercialization and beautiful sort of capitalistic society that America is in kind of rewards, because it rewards the entrepreneur, the inventors, to come up with incredible tools and practices that can be utilized for one's livelihood to sustain themselves, as a means of helping enrich the progress towards the enlightened ecosystem for the collective consciousness. And those are a lot of like really fancy sounding words, but it's the best way I can convey it monosyllabically. Apologize if that gets a little too SATE. However, it's great, as long as and we mentioned that in the previous video of, the entrepreneur who has their highest purpose and passion in life, who's surrounded in a community that is an open interface with the matrix to develop various levels of increased vibratory states of the matrix. And as long as it's conducted and business is done in a way that is as high vibratory of nature as is the intention towards a enlightened ecosystem, then great, it's awesome. And so that's where those tools, practices, and services come, and ultimately the best ones being free is an ideal state, short of finding alternative means of sustenance for those going on that entrepreneur or that spiritual journey. If the best things in that tool and practice kit are free, then a lot of these other tools that inventors have created through their creativity may not necessarily be a sustainable business model if you're offering things for free. But that's also an interesting catch-22, or something that we'll explore in the future, is creation for creation's sake, rather than for economic sake. Yeah, we'll get there. And then once you get into that place of being able to elevate your vibe or get into that frequency that you wish to get to, over shorter and shorter periods, your refractory period, so to speak, I think, um, then the next level that is there is the ability to enter into a low vibratory state and come back to a high vibratory state at will without any setback or uh, need for these practices or tools simply by existing. So you're beautifully molded clay into a vase. It is actually hardened, and so when it goes out and it gets beaten on by lower vibratory environments and states, it just naturally holds its shape, as opposed to the soft clay that like needs to be remolded. And that's a beautiful place to be at, is that homeostasis, high vibratory state, which allows an individual to stay in a high vibratory state, and then of course be able to explore the various vibratory states that are required to create a more complex vision and passion and purpose. And so that's an interesting place to be at. It is an individual who has mastered their own vibrational frequency to the point where they can maintain a high vibratory state and enter into any other vibratory state at will in order to create the desired outcome that is necessary for their purpose and vision, which could result in a need to exist in a lower vibratory state for a few moments or a few meetings in order to accurately address or be acknowledged by certain lower vibratory environments and be accepted, almost like a chameleon, right? And so that gets into the chameleon approach of the high vibe lifestyle. And often lots of people, myself included, who are energetically sensitive and on that ascension process, choose to fit in rather than stand out, to make those declarations and boundaries established. But this transcends that to being so secure in the boundaries and so secure in the habits and the homeostasis of living a high vibratory lifestyle that through conscious effort and purposeful maneuvering, one enters into those low vibratory states or different vibrations in order to create a desired outcome in that state, which is an outcome that is required for a larger collective mission and vision. And so it's kind of like, well, in order for me, normally I'm this beautiful multicolored chameleon, but I gotta go like connect the entire rainbow of chameleons to work together for this enlightened ecosystem. So I got to go over to these red chameleons, and they only accept red chameleons in their group. So I'm going to be a red chameleon, change my frequency to red, and work in that group. And then knowing that I can change my frequency to blue and work with the blue group, or I can be multicolored and work with the multicolored group. And at the end of the day, or at any point in time, I can change back to the color that I wish to be in. Or rather, because you do wish to be in those colors, because it is part of your mission, you do wish to be in the red chameleon when you're in the red group. But rather, you can go back to the high vibratory state when you so choose, which is the ideal state for a home environment, so to speak, for the most part. And so that's another form of mastery, and it's beautiful for a very complex vision. And so what we're conducting essentially is the multidimensional skill set required to create a synergized, harmonized, a synergized ecosystem, a synergized set of ecosystems, harmonized group of humanity, creating this enlightened ecosystem and the various levels of what might be called metaverse, borrowing from an incredible woman Zenka's work, to help you on your conscious journey and expansion that enables extreme creativity and emotional expression and uniquely humanistic expressions, um, that is in total alignment with the current matrix infrastructure. So I'll stop there.